Pounders, we are live, and today we're going to jump into the new tournament, the weekly winners. Let me know if you guys have been doing these or if you're still stuck on those BBMs. We are sort of transitioning while we're in an information lull into this new tournament a little bit. And I want to just cover my general strategy before we jump into a draft, because there is a lot to unpack with this new tournament. Just so many different things to think about. It can be overwhelming, and I just broke it down to make it pretty simple. Is it worth doing? What are my chances of winning? All of that. And as I dig more into it, it starts to get more interesting. I get more and more intrigued with this style of tournament. So let's jump right into it. So here we have the weekly winners, 261,000 entrant tournament. Seems like a lot, and it is. Not every team's going to be live. Okay. So week one, people might not be targeting week one. You're going to have people pretty much optimizing for individual weeks. I think that's a great strategy. You're going to have people optimizing for bye weeks, right? So they're pairing just 2 bye weeks or 3 bye weeks. So then they're live for the other 15 weeks. I think that is a good strategy because now you have more live players on a week-to-week basis. Now, what are your chances of min cashing right here? 7,315 people out of 261,000 is a 2.8% chance for that lineup. But every week you get 17 weeks, it falls just short of 48% chance for your lineup to cash for $10. Now, you dig a little deeper and you start to see your odds go up and up. And these draft rooms are ludicrous. People are reaching all over the place. And at some point, it's like, okay, when do I just scoop the value? When is it correct? And how do you build around that? Because your team can start to look a little wish-wash. And that's okay. But you do, in my opinion, want to optimize for either an individual week, pick out a week, look at the matchups, and go that way. Or you want to pretty much pair your bye weeks, and you're obviously correlating. You're doing all of that with the QB. You can super stack in this. I think that is very intriguing with this sort of contest as well. So let's sort of just peek behind the blinders here a little bit. It's the same 3 wide receiver start, QB, 1 tight end. QBs are much more important. To get that elite QB, you can stop at 1 if you get Allen, Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. I'm stopping at 1. If you get Burrow, I don't mind adding someone late. If you end up with 2 Washington pass catchers, yeah, let's add Sam Howell. Who knows? Maybe he has a huge spike week. Someone like that. So you're also trying to pair correlation. If it's not correlated with anyone, I'm probably not forcing a second quarterback with Joe Burrow unless that QB has rushing upside. But after Daniel Jones, that tier sort of falls off where I'm like, yeah, I'll go like a naked Ritter or something. I don't really see how that smashes in a tournament this big. But regardless, I think that is interesting. Tight ends. Kelsey can honestly, I mean, you can make a argument for Kelsey at 1 in this. I have him at 2. I'm still going JJ at 1 right now, but I see the argument. I really do. Tight ends are super, super important. And Kelsey, if you look at how many tight end 1 overall finishes he had last year, it's going to be ridiculous, right? And he has the highest chance. He has the highest single game ceiling at the tight end position still this season. So in a weekly contest, yeah, he is definitely more intriguing in this than he is for me in Best Ball Mania. But all the way up until about Hawkinson, I'm cool with just going 1. But even with Hawkinson, we'll go over a lineup just as an example before we jump in. I had a falling Gerald Everett who fell in the same bye weeks as what I was going for. And it was 20 picks after ADP. It just kind of like the stars aligned. So let's pull up this draft real quick. And this is a team based off of bye weeks 13 and bye weeks, is it 5? Yeah, 5 and 13. So we start with Josh Allen, we get Diggs, we bring in DK Metcalf. So here's my base, right? And when I pull in DK Metcalf with the bye week 5, I'm obviously going for bye week 13. Like I already know I want to stack that week. Now, when I add this secondary player, what can I do to add to bye week 5? So I start to look ahead. I start to star players that are in these bye weeks. I think that is absolutely huge to just go through real quick when it's not your turn and just sort of star these bye weeks that you're targeting so you can see them. We get lucky with the fallen Keenan Allen, but I probably would have reached 5 picks here for Mike Williams anyways for that bye week 5. Hawkinson at 13, Gerald Everett, you can see here. So this team has 18 live players for 13 weeks. For 2 more weeks, we have 17 live players. We only have 1 bye week 10, and we have 1 bye week 9. So there's 2 weeks, 13 and 5 that we're forfeiting. Every other week, we have 17 in 2 weeks or 18 players live for 13 weeks. That's the way I want to build. Sure, can someone who's optimizing for a certain week, let's say week 2 or let's use week 9 or whatever. Someone's optimizing. They looked into the schedule for that week and they're pulling players and they're just trying to basically have bringbacks and stacks for that week. They're optimizing for it. Well, when we start to look at the numbers, right? 261,000 teams in this contest. How many do we believe are optimizing for a week-to-week basis? I think if you want to start with the high number, let's say 20%, it's not that high. Let's go with 15%. 261,000 teams are optimizing for a single week strategy, right? Times 0.15. So you're going to have 39,000 teams are optimizing for single week strategy. Well, now there's 17 weeks. So you have to divide that by 17. So how many on a week-to-week basis are targeting your week? In my opinion, it's going to be around 2,300 teams are optimizing for that single week strategy. Now, how many are reaching? How many are getting them at a value? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of teams that are like, they're going out of their way to reach for those game stacks and they're letting better players, like tier break players, fall. And that's where I'm just like, I would rather scoop the value and build around it as we go further into it. Some quick hellos. ER7, what's going on? Bry H, Dustin, Coleman, Peanut Butter Waivers, Davis. What's going on, fellas? Welcome to the live stream. Love Fields in this event. Yeah, I can see him having multiple QB1 finishes this season. No doubt. No doubt. On the ground, those rushing QBs. Let's pull up a secondary example here. Weekly winners, and this is going to be a 2 QB example. So we start with Austin Eckler by week 5, right? So this is, and then we start with Devontae Adams at 13. DK, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, JSN, DPJ. So we get a super stack with Seattle. 3 pass catchers. We bring in Geno, we bring in Deshaun. We know we want to give up week 5 anyways. So now we have these two QBs available for the rest of the season, right? So when we try to pair these bye weeks the best we can possible, because I want as many live players as possible. We're obviously giving up week 7 here, which is fine. We have another week 7 correlation. It's not the best. We got sniped on Fant in this one, which is tragic. But this is the way I want to build most of my teams with correlation. And good for you. Like if you're adding in interconference teams, I think that's great for bringbacks because we know those teams are going to play them once or twice. I think they play 3 teams in their division twice and they play one only once. Eric B says, love this new format. Seems possibly flatter than BBM, but very plus EV with all the bad builds. So many bad builds. And the other thing we want to think about is this a team that I want to target rookies early? Is this a team that I'm looking to win at the end of the season where rookies have that role. They're expanding the role and they're spiking. Or is this a team where it's a win early, where you might get some more veterans for that team? So where this would make sense is if you're drafting rookies, right? Maybe this is the team you draft Kamara because you're already giving up that early portion of the season if you're drafting a lot of rookies. Maybe this is the team you bring in Jameson Williams, who's suspended for 6 games. Now, I still think there is a big negative to drafting those 2 players, suspension looming for Kamara, because you're giving up 6 weeks. But if you're pairing it with a rookie type build, that's where it makes sense. That's where roster building is super important to raise your chances of winning. Let me pull up one more thing. I have a much more tightened player pool with this sort of draft, right? Because you're shooting for the ultimate ceiling. So players like Gabe Davis, they get a boost. Players like Christian Watson, they get a boost. Taysom Hill, like I need more Taysom Hill. Like give me him a full round in advance. I'm fine with reaching on a player like Taysom Hill because he has that single game spike potential that really the tight ends in his range don't possess. Now, Juwan Johnson, I think, is an exception there. And I'm also scooping a lot of Juwan Johnson. But yeah, Taysom Hill is, he gets an A+ in my book. Overstacking is fine. And when to draft basically one QB or multiple QBs, we went over it. I think the tier break is right at Joe Burrow, but we can sort of go over a little more as we get into the draft because there's just so many different strategies and it's going to depend on not only that, but who's available, bye weeks, and all that. So let me know in the comments if you guys are targeting single weeks or if you're just pairing bye weeks, you're scooping ADP value. What's been your general strategy as of late? And guys, I have to start off with a huge thank you. 617 subscribers. We are 383 subscribers away from doing a 24-hour live stream. So if you want to put me through maximum pain, go ahead, subscribe to the Pound. Also join our Discord free draft guide for Best Ball Mania in the cheat sheet section. And let's jump into one. I have been doing a lot more hero running back builds for this type of draft. Waiting on 2 people. We get the 3 spot. David Berg, Pounder in the 1 spot. Brian H in the 6. Farachi at 12. He was in one of my late night drafts last night. I don't remember if that was a BBM or if that was a weekly winner. Targeting NFC South in buys. Yep, perfect. Perfect. Got to watch for division matchups week 18. Yeah, division matchups is just an easy way to get bringbacks. I'm not super going out of the way to do that, but if it falls in the right spot, yeah, I can see that. I would like to get Kelsey at 3 here, not gonna lie. If we get Kelsey, I'm going single tight end. Other than that, I think you can bring in a late tight end with Mark Andrews. See what David Berg does. He goes Jefferson. Beautiful. So we get Kelsey. Happy man. I am a happy guy right now. I'm a happy guy. Farachi says, saw you take Travis Kelsey at 3 and thought out, shoot, I haven't thought about strats at all for this. Yeah. And when I take Kelsey, I'm going 1 tight end. It doesn't mean someone else can't spike down here ahead of him. It's just so slim. It's very thin. But even Mark Andrews, I think you can add in someone late like a Logan Thomas, like someone crazy late that has at least a little bit of spike potential, Hunter Henry, all those guys down there. And how another way, I can't believe I didn't cover this because I'm a battle royale guy during the season. If you guys like that stuff, also subscribe to the channel. the best way to leverage the field is to draft someone who people aren't drafting. It sounds easy, right? Just scroll down a little bit. If 95% of the field, or 90% even, aren't drafting that player, you just leveraged 90% of the field. And if that player spikes, and guess what? You get 17 chances. You get 17 weeks with this one lineup. That is a huge way to leverage the field and win. That's exactly what we did week 18 when we won Battle Royale. I have to move this so I can see the chat a little easier. Here we go. Eric B. If Mahomes makes it back to you, you've got $30 EV at least. True. Very true. Very true. But tight ends, QBs don't typically make it back to this spot. We'll see. We'll see. So bye week 10. So we can go right ahead and start marking bye week 10 players. And I think a sneaky one might be Dalvin Cook. Pacheco here. I'm not bringing in a second QB. But if Dalvin goes to Miami, if Dalvin goes to KC, that's two ways to get a bye week 10 there. So we'll start here. A lot of players go late with bye week 10. We'll start with these. And we'll see what our second player we bring in is. But tight ends are more important. I like hero running back builds where I'm building around one of these top, let's say one of the top even 20 I'm fine with, like up to J.K. Dobbins, basically. I want one at J.K. Dobbins or before, like minimum. If I can get two, great. But where I'm going, usually elite tight end, elite QB, I find myself having to catch up at wide receiver. So I'm not really getting the double anchor running back builds as much, which is fine. It's just a different strategy that I'm testing for this tournament. We all know running backs, you can find value late through injuries, which not trying to say I know how to, pick out who's going to get injured. But I mean, we have holdout situations with Jacobs and Barkley. There's different ways I think we can get spike weeks. Kevin, what it do, baby? Full PPR, 2 flex spots. Who should I keep? Olave in the 9th or Rashad White in the 12th? Deshaun in the 14th. Full PPR. I mean, Rashad White in the 12th is really nice, but Olave in the 9th is, yeah. I'm keeping Olave in the 9th. Is there bonuses in this league? Like, do you get bonuses for 100-yard receiving, 100-yard rushing? Because it would definitely be Olave if that's the case. If not, I could see the argument for Rashad White. And is this a 1-year keep, like 1-year keeper, or does it reset, or does the year after they reduce rounds by 1? I think that is another important thing you have to look at. No bonuses in the league. If Mahomes makes it back to me, I'll be a very happy guy. Shit. Look at Bijan fall. Damn. Brian gets Bijan and Eckler. That's a crazy start. It would be a little more crazy if he didn't reach up a little bit for Eckler too. There's no way I get Mahomes here. But we can go. How'd I miss Waddle? We can go Waddle. Obviously, Mahomes. Mahomes off the board. I like this too. Pairing this, I think that's cool. And we're off to the races. Jalen Waddle and Kelsey. Now we do open ourselves up still for a Tua back here where we don't get Mahomes. And I think that's fine as well. And I don't know if you guys saw the video where I released all the stats for these middle round QBs and their spike potential and all that. I can try to find it real quick. Should be right here. Tua had 4 QB1 finishes out of the 10 starts he didn't get a concussion in. And he had 3 as a top 3 QB for scoring. Interesting. I'm cool with going either Barkley or Lamar. By week 13 adds a lot of players. Let's go Barkley here. This can be a Tua / Daniel Jones team. Justin Fields even by week 13, Jones, Tua with by week 10. And now let's just sort of, I don't think Jacob's going to make it back to us. We can't go a running back really anyways with our next pick. We have to catch up at receiver. It's going to be a must. So I'm just marking the bye week 10s, bye week 13, so they stick out to us. TJ Moore will be one of our targets. Gabe Davis is always one of my targets. No, I'm not starring Odell. Settle down. Settle down. And then for tight ends, we're done. We're done with one, with Kelsey. We're going to give up week 10, and that's completely fine. We'll probably end up giving up week 13 as well, and we're going to try to draft as many players around these bye weeks as possible to give us as many live players as possible for all other weeks. Now, if an extreme value falls and there's a tier jump in between a player that I want at a different bye week, I will go with the better player, the better value. Got any good team names for Olave? He's just a keeper for 1 year, can keep people after the 8th round. Okay, I sort of like that scoring. We do one where we have a keeper and it's the after the 6th round, so 7+. And the first year you keep them, they reduce by one round. And then after that, it's every year after it's 2 rounds until they get to the 6th. Then they go back into the player pool. And last year, my keepers were ridiculous. We won the first year. We tanked the second year. We won the third year. At the end of the season, you're just basically dumping your team and picking up high prospect players at the end for the next season. So like Calvin Ridley, Ramondre Stevenson we had going into this year. Yeah, Deshaun's another one. I feel really strong about Deshaun having a bounce back year. Guy is just a proven winner. And the team's just added so many weapons for him. So many weapons. But still, I think you're getting the best value on Olave based on where he's going in drafts. So if you're a value ADP hog, I think that would be the play. We can't bring in Hawk. Clicked him. Can't do it. Calvin Ridley at 9. Amari Cooper at 5. Personally, I would have Christian Watson in this format above Amari Cooper, above Jerry Jeudy, above ETN. I would put Mike Williams in that same category where they both have extremely high single game spike potentials. Both of those players. Yeah. I love all of this. It's a fun keeper to have too. My God. Let's see what Brian does. So far, he's been scooping values, which is, in my mind, just another strategy. Like, you can just go through here and scoop all the values and just sort of see how your team looks at the end of it. We're hoping for Christian Watson here. If not, we're likely going DJ Moore. Three RB start. He goes Christian Watson. Okay. Makes it easy for us. It makes it very easy for us. And now I don't really feel like going another running back right here because, God, it's just the tier. It's just the tier jump. So another thing we can do is look at our next picks at 70 and 75. So we can scroll down. Do we really want to need 2 wide receivers in this range? It's not the worst range for receivers. We're not going tight ends. Let's see who falls. Let's see what we get. I'm not reaching up for Tony here. I think that's a huge mistake. I wouldn't mind bringing in just like a naked Ayuk here, to be honest. I think that's fine. But I definitely want another receiver. So sure, we won't have a Ayuk for week 9 for this team, but I think that's okay. So we're up in 18 picks, and I'm sort of looking at even Mike Evans. Now, if we can add in week 9 as well, we will, but we're not going to force multiple players off week 9. Like, if it fits, it fits, and maybe we can make that a week where we forfeit and we just keep stacking those players, but it just gives us more outs, in my opinion. Gives us more outs. P-Ryan's like an early season. Like, you're going to be targeting the early portion of the season when Javonte Williams is out with an injury. This isn't a team where you're going to go a bunch of rookie running backs and, I'll bring in P-Ryan so he plays good until the rookies are healthy. That's the thinking in Best Ball Mania, where, okay, he'll spike into the lineup, give my rookies a chance to catch up, get a role in the offense. This is, you just want to give up on those weeks. Say, hey, P-Ryan fits on this certain squad where the rookies fit on a different squad where they would be targeting the end of the season. P-Ryan's on that team that's targeting the early portion of the season because that's when most of his workload is going to be. They don't fit on the same team, in my opinion. You love Ayuk so much. I mean, he has really good spike potential, so I can't complain. Fields at 44 is really nice, but he pairs with Patrick Mahomes, and this is a terrible strategy. It's a terrible strategy because only one of them can spike into the lineup, and it's not a cumulative scoring. It's a week-to-week basis. So sure, does he have Mahomes and Fields on the same team? That gives him a higher chance to win on a single week basis? I don't think so, because if Justin Fields spikes that week, well, those Justin Fields teams are going to have a second round pick. If those Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes spikes and he's the number 1 QB that week, those Patrick Mahomes squads are going to have a 4th round positional player that could spike into the lineup. So I do think this severely limits your upside. Where there is 261,000 teams, you have to be shooting for that upside. If Tony comes back to us, we will select him. I'm not going to be jumping for joy if we get him, but I think that's like, you have to don't even really worry about other people and their scoring. Now you can go ahead and look if they need like this guy's not going to go another QB. That stuff's important. And when we're in the 3 spot, the only teams I really care about is 1 and 2. Those are the teams that we're trying to predict what they do. Like, can we push Tua at this pick here or whatever to the next spot? That's where we want to make these small predictions on team 1 and team 2. Gabe Davis goes to 64, paired him with Josh Allen and Diggs. That's really nice. Really, really nice. Now, only having 2 receivers through 6 rounds, I think, is a huge disadvantage, but that's just me. Especially because they get muddy quick. So, like, even if this is a receiver at 81, like at pick 88, you have to go one of these guys and maybe even hope that someone falls at a value. So Tony would be good. Jordan Addison, I wouldn't mind as well. And then after that, it's probably like Marquise Brown, Mike Evans, Treylon Burks. We don't have any 13s in here. We don't have any bye week 9s, and it's not worth reaching. Is Trevor Lawrence going to be there? Are we going to get... We actually have some thinking to do. I don't think so. We'll go Tony here. If Trevor Lawrence is still there, we have a real thought. Like, would we bring in Trevor Lawrence naked with this team and try to get like Zay Jones, or is there a world in which Trevor Lawrence spikes, but these players spike more than the Jacksonville squad, right? So that's what it would have to happen. Trevor Lawrence would end up with like 28, 29 points, which is fine. He would have to spread the ball, and these players would have to spike higher than the Jags. I think it's possible. Like, there's enough players in that offense. All right, pick 94. We didn't get to it 94. Like, no chance. Danny Dimes. Dude, I think I have to go Trevor Lawrence here. I think I have to. 19 picks after ADP. I really do. I really do. Yeah, I'm cool with Tony here. I'm cool with Tony. He's a gadget player, right? So, like, I'm not expecting Tony to have a 24% target share. Maybe he gets a touchdown on a jet sweep. Maybe he gets one in the air. He can have a multi-touchdown game, and it doesn't have to be passes from Mahomes. And also having Kelsey on that team, he's a bye week 10 player, which we're giving up week 10 anyways. So it's going to maximize our usage for the rest of the season with that matching bye week, because we're not drafting a second tight end. So we're giving up week 10. This is going to be weekly winners. Yeah, this is going to be, it's a good point. Like, it's going to be a unique team as well. We don't want to share first place with anybody. We don't want to share it. Like, talk about like best available, right? It makes sense. You still want to draft good teams. Like, that's the underlying, like, you still want to draft good teams. So are we? Yeah, we're likely still giving up week 13. There's just so many week 13 guys that we can bring in that I actually like as well. By week 13, I believe by week 7 are the 2 heaviest weeks. So a separate strategy is not having anyone by week 13, not having anyone by week 7. So you have the most available players for those weeks where there are a ton of buys. Buys or players that aren't playing creates a lot of dead teams. So that's a whole nother strategy in its own. Yeah, and you collect it. I don't think that's gonna work. That sounds like a bad strategy. It sounds like a bad strategy. Hopefully he selected players that you didn't want. Here we go. We just made this a little bigger. How's that? Is that too big? This one looks better, I think. Connor off the board at 86. Rashad White off the board at 85 to Faraci. Pairs it with Pickens. Couple bye week 10 players here. Couple bye week 5s, but it looks like just sort of going after his guys right now. 2 is still there. 2 is still... I spoke him into existence. He goes to the Tyreek Hill squad, which is fine. Expected. 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 Sutton. Damn. That was not what I would have done, which is fine. I like the Cook pick. I like the Cook pick. All right. I'm cool with going Bateman here. Cool with going Bateman. Again, by week 13, we're likely just going to give up this week anyways. So we're going to have another live player for the other weeks. We're giving up week 10 as well. And most likely week 9. We'll see. Maybe not week 9. It's going to depend. You can go with naked Deshaun Watson too. Like, it's kind of gross if we have 2 naked QBs, but like if he's going to fall at 19 picks, I couldn't care less. Has rushing upside as well. I think it's 100% fine. Give me Deshaun Watson with this team. And you can add like a DPJ. You can go really deep and bring in the rookie in the last round as well, who's I haven't really seen get drafted a whole lot, Cedric Tillman. And that's what we're doing. All right. All right. This is going to be a super unique team. Holy crap. I'll be stopping at these 2 QBs. Brian says don't do it, but I think this is easily a very, very easy decision for this team. Very, very easy decision. Rushing QB doesn't, and like there's a lot of players on that offense, right? Mari Cooper, DPJ, Cedric Tillman, Njoku. Very easily can spread it around and spike into the lineup without raising any other player into that lineup. And let's say Deshaun Watson throws, a touchdown to Njoku, a touchdown to Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper can still end up with like 13 points. Njoku can end up with 13 points. Kelsey can outscore Njoku in that case. Waddle can outscore Cooper if that happens. You know what I mean? So like stuff has to fall correctly anyways. This is definitely going to raise the ceiling of this team, though. We're not necessarily giving up week 9 as well now, and we're not giving up week 5 either. We only have one other player with the bye week 9. We only have one other player with bye week 5. So right now, we're going to try to get some correlation there, though. We're done with QBs. This is what we're looking at right now. This is what we're looking at. And as you can see, not a lot of rookies. We are not really looking to really maximize right now the end of the season scoring, kind of going after the beginning of the season. We can bring in Jerick McKinnon as well with this team. And it's okay because this isn't just a 1 week lineup, right? We're not just targeting week 17 where it's like, oh, how does your team spike with three KC players without Mahomes? Well, I don't really need it to just spike week 17. Yeah, that'd be a huge disadvantage in a 1 week contest, but over the course of 17 weeks, having different mix match players like that on the same offense isn't as bad. It's really not, especially if other people aren't doing it. That's typically what I want to do. Again, just leveraging the field with our huge, massive brain. Yeah, this is going to be one tight end for this weekly winners. When we go Kelsey, one tight end. When I go Andrews, I don't mind adding a late round tight end, like last round. Or if someone's falling, if it's correlated, if the weeks match up, the bye weeks match up, something like that. But with Kelsey, the cost of pick 3 overall and just the chances of another tight end outscoring him, it starts to fall off a little bit. We're just pretty much guaranteeing ourselves how many overall tight end 1 finishes with Kelsey, like 4, 5. I'll tell you right now how many he had last season. In half PPR, he finished first, third, second, third, second, first, fifth, 8th, 5th, 6th. So that is why you don't bring in a second tight end with Kelsey. He's going to have a shit ton of top 3 finishes. Penny in the 10 spot, I think, is fine. I don't love it, though. Still going to end up doing it. Let's go Myers. Another bye week 13 guy. And we're going to cool off on receivers now. Who picks Zay Jones at 112? Naked. What? Team's got 3 receivers. It's dead every single week. Wow, Khalil Herbert was actually going to be one of our picks there. Obviously, you can see it queued up. It's tough because Brian or David's also going for 13s. He's giving up week 13 because he's not drafting a second tight end, I don't think. So we're targeting a lot of the same players. He goes Jerick McKinnon. On what? We're just going to go Brian Robinson. We're just going to go Brian Robinson. So we need to catch up a little bit at running backs, but with only going one tight end, we're going to be able to do that. And guess what? Barkley is going to be our hero running back. And I sort of like these builds better than doing like 0 RB. I think the hero RB builds are at least interesting because you only need to get one other piece right along with like a spike week for Barkley. On top of, it's an interesting team. Definitely an interesting build here. And not everything's going to go the way you plan in these as well. Lucky says still unable to do these. It's because you have Android. It looked like it was like 8% full for whatever reason. It's sort of buggy though. Like when you go to, like I just go here to the info and it says like rig 0, doesn't show the payouts. It is super buggy. But I'll peek on my phone It's 8% full. 8% full. All right. Since David's sniping us, we can't give out any more information until our pick's done. David, you ruined it for everybody with that Khalil Herbert reach. Nice pick. Tyquan at 129. This guy's just going friggin' haywire right now. 2 receivers through 9 rounds, reaches for Zay Jones, reaches for Tyquan. No one knows what's happening. Easy winner is part of that 10% rake this tournament takes. Let's see what Brian's been doing. Eckler, Bijan, Lamar, Mike Williams, J.K. Dobbins, Chris Godwin, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, David Njoku, Odell Beckham, Don Kincaid. So definitely targeting end of the season with these rookies. Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers. So this is a team that I would look to bring in like a Kamara, or a team that I would look to bring in like Jameson Williams, which we see JMO go here at pick 100, and Kamara went where? 109. Let's pull up Brian's team. I want to see the bye weeks. And this easy winner, I can't wait to see this pick. Could literally be anybody. So definitely heavy on 13, giving up week 13 with Lamar. We'll see if he goes 2 QBs as well. Up in 5 picks. This is what we're looking at. Wide receivers and running backs, and it's mostly running backs in this range. I don't mind bringing in like a late DPJ at 159. I'm not going to go 12 picks early for him. I'd rather just go like a super late Cedric Tillman if I'm going to do that. Yeah, that's where I'm sort of at with that. Right now, I want to target this range of running backs, and this isn't a team where I'm really like stressing rookies. So I want it to be live on the early portion of the season. I want it to be live in the later portion of the season. I'm not going to be able to pair these bye weeks, which is ideal. I would really like to do that, but it's not looking like it's going to fall that way, which sort of is what it is. Kendre Miller, Tank Bigsby, Tyler Algier. I just think Tyler Algier gives us a better chance to target the early portion of the season as well. Over Kendre, who right now hasn't practiced, has that MCL sprain. And Tank Bigsby, who I like, but with ETN there, he still has to work in a role. And Dearness Johnson also there. Nate, what's going on, my man? Welcome to the live stream. Adam, no. Gibson's ADP has just skyrocketed. It's ahead of Brian Robinson. So he goes around pick like 112 in these. 103 skyrocketed up. And this is weekly winners. It's going to have its own ADPs separate from BBM as well. But with this team comp, I'm not really targeting the end of the season. I'm not targeting the end of the season, but I want to give this team the best chance to win on any given week in the early portion of the season. So we grab these second-year guys, and I think that does a better job of that than bringing in like Kendre Miller or Tank, who is going to have to work out a role in their offense. And we know it takes the rookies a little bit of time. Adam Thielen off the board, easy winner. This guy needed receivers. Did he catch up at all? He brings in another New England receiver. So still sort of targeting week 17 here is what I'm seeing. Loves Jacksonville. Just loves Jacksonville. No wonder why I couldn't get anyone on Jacksonville. We got 2 naked QBs. But the values were insane. So what are the chances that they have these other players, these teams? It's going to be a unique squad. You just need to hope that it's not one player on Jacksonville that spikes that week. So if Trevor Lawrence has a 37-point week, you have to hope that Calvin Ridley doesn't have a 30-point week. You basically need it to be the ball to be spread. Maybe ETN gets one. Maybe Evan Ingram gets one. Zay Jones gets one. It's likely going to be a 3 or 4 touchdown game. Drew, welcome to the live stream. It's been a while. Nate, the reason for multiple QBs for this squad specifically is, I mean, we had a rushing QB fall 19 picks. It makes us live week 9 now. So it does give this team an extra opportunity on a week where Trevor Lawrence isn't playing, where we only have one other player with the bye week 9. That's the reason. That's the reason for this team. Every draft's going to be different. I'm just sort of taking the shape of the water bottle, just flowing with the water right now. If he comes back to us, we'll match DPJ with Deshaun Watson. If he doesn't, so is life. Sort of just how this draft's been going. But damn, I can't really be too mad. Starting 3 receivers every week. We're giving up week 13. We're giving up week 10. So those are still the weeks I want to try to heavily target. Singletary off the board. Okay. DPJ. Adam, what's the reasoning? What is the reasoning? I think it's actually the expected value might be higher. Now, if your lineup's just crap, but if we're saying that everyone's on an even playing field and you have a 2% chance to win week 1, you would have that same 2.8% chance to win week 2 unless injury and all of that. But assuming no injuries at the beginning of the season for every single team, because other teams are going to have injuries as well. It is correct, in my opinion. You have 17 weeks this lineup's good for. Single week entries, basically. You have a 2.8% chance to win each time. All right. We got our bye week 13 guy. Dante Foreman's actually at the top of the depth chart on ESPN depth charts for Chicago. Very interesting. But you have a 2.8% chance to win each week, to place in what was it? Top 7,315 get paid out. If you have a 2.8% chance each week, it resets. I understand that, but it's also in addition to live streaming some palms on America's Day. Taxation is theft. Oh, God. Could you rate my recently weekly winners draft from pick 3? Let's go, Adam. Sneaking in Wait. I'm at pick 3. Adam Liss. Drop it in the Discord. We have a draft grade section in our Discord. Over 100 members, active members, Discord community. It's absolutely awesome. And I'll link that in. It's in the description of the video, but I'll also put it in the comments. And yeah, it's looking like Dante Foreman might be the goal line back to start the year for Chicago. Khalil Herbert's like just a little north of 5'9". I think that's why we saw the injury after he took on that higher workload. Just a little smaller of a dude. Farachi in the 12 spot. Goes Kenneth Gainwell at 157. Pierce, Mingo, Rashee Rice. So perfect. This is a great example. And he's doing exactly what we spoke about before the draft, where he goes Javonte Williams, who we expect to start the season slow. Alvin Kamara, who we're expecting a suspension coming from. Rashee Rice, who's a rookie. They tend to start the season slow. Same with Mingo. So really kind of targeting that back end of the season. Another rookie here. I think that's smart. It's just a different strategy. And those players are like the right players to do it with, Javonte and Kamara. I think that's very interesting. You can basically just name this draft. And I heavily recommend naming the drafts when you're done. Like mine, I usually target 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like dead by weeks 13, 7, whatever. This one would be like dead probably the first 6 weeks. ER7 says hit the like button. Let's go, please. It does help. And we are 383 subscribers away from doing a 24-hour live stream. Gus Edwards, John Mechie. I like the Edwards pick. He was definitely someone we're going to look to bring in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm fine with these 7 receivers. We're just going 1 tight end. Let's scroll the F down. Let's bring in Pierre Strong here. We know we have some correlation with New England and Miami once or twice this year. I forget. I think it's twice. Again, just hero running back build. We expect if this team's going to win any of the weeks, it's going to be Barkley plus one of these guys. And then obviously the other positions would need to chip in slightly. Any ideas for the 24-hour stream? We would be doing a lot of private drafts with the Pounders. Buck said, had an interesting draft when I got Bijan, Pollard, Etienne, and Gibbs, and still landed Judy, Burks, Deontay. Probably won't amount to much. In a weekly, and who were your QBs, if you remember? Were you able to bring in some correlation with like Goff or Pickett, maybe Tannehill, Russell Wilson? I'd probably stop at those 4 with 4 running backs there. Could go Clyde here too, but I think Zamir White makes the most sense. I don't mind that it's a reach. Because if Jacobs doesn't play, or whatever the case may be, if Zamir White is the number 2 and Jacobs does play, Zamir White does have 2 down size, so 6 feet tall, like 211. And pretty much for this last pick, if no one snipes him, I'll go Cedric Tillman. We could dig real deep in Jacksonville if we want to and go like Jamal Agnew. The easiest way to leverage the field is just to draft someone that no one else is drafting and them just hit 1 week. And now obviously your other players have to chip in that week to make it a special week, but it only has to happen once to be right. Marquise Goodwin isn't bad. Another one is Chosen Anderson, who last pick of the draft, if I have Tua, I mean, I might even go him here for that bye week 10. We're giving up 10 anyways. I think Underdog really needs to add a way to search by bye week now. That'd be huge. That'd be huge. Damn. Sir Karma, so a small tip. If you go on underdog.com, just from like a PC, you can put in for a weekly winners draft, and then I believe it shows up on your phone under live. Now, I don't know if it's going to show up after that, but like, I think you have to continue to do that where you go on the PC until it works. But yeah, I never had that problem, but I've heard of people downloading it, deleting it, re-downloading, all that. Yeah, people are forgetting that you're not looking to advance, right? You're looking to win 1 week, right? And when you have teams with similar bye weeks and you give up week 9, you give up week 5, and you try to pair as many 9s and 5s, or in this case, we have bye week 10 in there as well. You try to put as many together as possible so you have live players, more live players than the other teams on those other weeks. I believe Brian might be going Chosen Anderson here. I'm not sure. Unless he's going Cedric Tillman. But Chosen Anderson's another one at the end of these drafts. And he's a spike week guy. Fast dude, pretty lanky. And there's also the contingent value if Tyreek Hill misses any time. Not that I'm expecting that. And by week 10, again, we're giving up this week anyway, so it allows us to have 17 weeks of a live player in Chosen Anderson. And I think if we had one QB, we would go Cedric Tillman, but since we have Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be live for week 5 when Watson's out. So just a different way to draft. Could have gone another running back, but again, this is going to just basically be hero running back build. Barkley's going to spike, and we need one other player to spike with him. Not as pretty as of a team as I've drafted in the last few, but this is my general strategy. And I think there really is 2 ways to go about it. I think if you're drafting like this, where you're targeting separate weeks, like week 5 and week 9, pairing as many players as possible. The problem is if you're reaching above tiers, you're selecting worse players that score less points on average. That's where I think you can run into trouble with losing some EV. But if it's falling at a value, if those teams are just sort of leaving those players to you, like this one where we went 13, right? We have all these bye weeks 13. And our other bye week was week 5, where we have 17 live players for, I think it was 15 weeks. And we have 18 live players for 13 weeks. 13 of those 15 weeks, we have 18 live players. 2 of them, we have 17 live players. And then the rest of them are bye week 5 and 13. So like that's the way that I'm trying to build as much as possible. bye week 10, and bye week 9. Here's another really good example. Mahomes, bye week 10, bye week 9. Very, very live for every other week. And this is sort of my way of going about it. I think another really strong way is picking a random week and going into week 5 or week 7, week 13. We went over that strategy where there's the most bye weeks of any week, but targeting a week and targeting matchups that you like in that week. The kicker is trying to get them at a value. And okay, so Adam says your actual chance of winning at least $10 is 38%. So we were off by 10%. He says, but that's assuming everything is random. So is that just to the 17th power? I'm assuming. No, I copy. I see what you did. Web not allowed in Indiana. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. You're just completely locked out. It's all right. The tournament will be live for a long time. I'm sure they're going to start to fix these bugs, and I'm sure they've been working on it anyways. But this is the general strategy that I'm using. Here's another one, bye week 5. So both of these QBs have bye week 5. I have these 2 QBs for all 17 other weeks. So obviously I'm going to try to pull as many bye week 5 players in as possible. As you can see, I'm not reaching. I'm just sort of letting them fall to me. And yeah, that's and then bye week 7 here. So we give up 7 too because Fant got sniped. But you can sort of see what I'm doing. And that's just one man strategy. I think there's so many different ways that you can approach these. I think it's nice to just kind of talk about the different strategies and see what other people are doing with single QB, with single tight end, or where are you bringing in 2? And I really think that's every single draft is different when it comes to the 2 QBs, when it comes to 2 tight ends plus, if it's not Kelsey, in my opinion. But if you guys haven't already, drop a like on the live stream if you enjoyed tonight's stream. Make sure you're hopping in the Discord. Pop those lineups into the draft grade section and get drafted by the Pounders. Let's go, Pounders. Have a good night and happy 4th of July.